A lot of you who have been watching my budget videos have noticed that I keep talking about me having to pay Sars every month, and some of you have been asking me in private DMs and a lot of friends and family as well, because I haven't really spoken about my whole Sars debacle or Sars issue, and I knew that I wanted to make this video at some point, so today's the day. I also want to make it because someone might also be in this position and might not even know that they are in it, like I was. I'm going to talk about the whole story, how this whole thing happened and what I'm doing now. I've never worked in a job where I got a benefit. The only thing that has been taken off that's on my payslip is tax and UIF. My part-time job that I have now, I actually worked for them full-time. I opted to leave and work for this full-time job that I have now. And so at the time, my second boss, he asked if I could work for him part-time. And so I just said yes, and I mean, who's not gonna say no to extra money? And I never ever thought about like tax implications or anything like that. I started my new job in October of 2015, obviously my part-time job as well, and at the end of October of 2015 I got my payslip from my second job and I saw a tax rebate, and I was like, what is this tax rebate? I've never heard of it, you know, I've never seen it before, nothing like that. I then gone to the accountant and I was like, what is this tax rebate? And she was unaware that I had left because our accounting is outsourced, and then I have another job elsewhere, and I never ever spoke or dealt with tax rebates again. As the years went on, I obviously saw every year when the ads would come on TV about you have to do e-filings, it's tax season. For me, with both my incomes, I didn't make 250,000 rand. Obviously the threshold has changed, it's now 500,000, but at the time it was 250,000 rand, so I wasn't making 250,000 rand that year with both of my jobs. So I remember asking my mother, must I do like e-filing? And she was like, no, you don't earn 250,000 rand, and also I had no medical aids, I didn't have to claim anything. I also didn't have policies at the time, so there was nothing I had to claim back from Sars. I just pulled along, you know, life was merry and jolly. Then came December, the second week of December 2018. I got an SMS from Sars saying that I owe them money and that I'm in arrears, and I was like, is this a scam? Am I being scammed? Because usually around tax season a lot of people do get scammed into thinking that they get this SMS or they get an email pretending to be Sars and they should give their personal details, etc. So I opted to phone Sars, and they were like, no, I'm in arrears with them and that I need to go into the office. So I go to the counter and I said, I want to dispute this thing that saying that I owe them money and that I'm in arrears. There's 23 counters, and out of those 23 counters, only 2 consultants deal with the advanced issue section. So you sit there all day. I ended up getting my spot, speaking to the consultant, and I said, listen, I need to dispute this thing that's saying that I owe you money. Like, I don't understand, I pay my taxes, I don't get it. So she's like, okay, let me go onto your profile, and she's like, oh, you haven't been doing e-filing for 3 years. And I was like, oh, but I don't earn 250,000 rand, why must I do e-filing? So she's like, yeah, but you've got 2 jobs. I said, but my second job I earn below 6,300, I think that's what it is, so I owe below 6,000 rand. So she was like, yeah, but you fall into different tax bracket. And that was the first time I learned about a tax bracket. I was like, I don't understand what you mean tax bracket. This is the thing, this is my knowledge at the time about Sars and what I knew about Sars in general. You pay 18% tax. If you don't earn 250,000 rand, you don't have to do tax or e-filing. And that was my knowledge of what I knew about Sars and tax. That's all I knew. I didn't know about a tax bracket. I didn't know about what happens when you have 2 jobs. Nothing like that. She starts doing my first year. I'm actually gonna put it up for you guys so that I can tell you exactly how much I owe. For the tax year of 2016, I owed them 3,655 rand. That was for the year of 2016. Then she submitted my 2017 one, and I owed Sars 8,640 rand. And I'm just seeing this thing go off on my phone saying, oh, I'm submitting this year's assessment, this is assessment. Guys, I have no idea what's going on. Then she submitted my 2018 assessment, and I owed Sars 10,213 rand and some change. And she's like, oh, in total I owe 26,000 something. I can't even remember. I owe you I couldn't understand, and I sat there and I cried. When I tell you I cried, I didn't care who saw me. I literally cried. I was like, you need to explain. Like, I still didn't understand. I couldn't grasp what was going on. She was very rude. Let me tell you, most consultants that I've dealt with, because I've been to Sars quite a few times, are so rude and are so arrogant, and they give you wrong information just to pass you off so that they don't have to deal with you. If I'm someone who has no knowledge about this, at least spend 5 minutes of your time explaining to me what's going on. She didn't want to deal with me, nothing like that. Eventually I called the manager and she was like, oh no, I fall in a different tax bracket, and she kind of tried to explain to me what's going on. So they don't see my stuff as two separate incomes. They see it as one combined income that I get every month. So they take that, the two incomes together, and times that by 12. So that makes me fall into a different tax bracket. My full-time job takes off 18%. Now, because my second job I earn below 6,000 rand, I get a tax rebate. So I'm going to explain and read it off tax term what this tax rebate is. A primary rebate is for those under 65 years of age. So for example, the minimum threshold for tax payable in the 2018 tax year is 75,750 rand per annum. If you calculate 18% of that 75,750 rand, which is the entry level tax rate, you get 13,635 rand. This is the primary rebate amount and will be deducted off your tax liability after deductions have been processed. Now you might be thinking, how do I get this? Basically, your rebate will be automatically applied when Sars run your annual return for assessment. Because I'm not in that situation where I'm only earning just my second job's income, I don't know how it works. I don't know if you get it every year, if you get it like, I can't explain if you really get the 13,000, whatever. I just can't explain it. But what I can explain is my first job gets taken off 18%, and then they calculate the tax rebate I get from this. So they'll calculate how much tax they've taken off, they subtract it from this, right? And then there is a tax shortfall, because I no longer fall under 18%. I fall in the 26% tax bracket, and that's where that shortfall comes in. And so it took me such a long time to understand, because like I said, I wasn't financially literate at the time. I didn't know anything about Sars and having a second job and tax rebates and tax brackets and all of this stuff. It was like literally I got hit with the spot. So they were like, oh, so where's our 26,000 rand? And this woman was just so arrogant, and I was like, I don't have 26,000 rand to get. Like, I'm just like learning all of this in the space of a few hours. I don't know. So anyway, at the end of December, I managed to pay them a little bit of what I could. And the woman at the time, she just said, oh, just pay Sars every month, whatever you can, just so that they can see you paying. Then came January of 2019, and I got ill at the end of that month. I get viral hepatitis A, and of course I couldn't pay Sars because I don't have medical aid, so all my medical expenses were coming out of my pocket. At the end of February of 2019, Sars came after me. Sars was like, we are handing you over, this is final notice. I was like, how's this final notice? I didn't get the first notice. I ended up going back to Sars and I was like, guys, I don't know what's going on. Like, this woman said I can pay whatever I wanted to, and they were like, no ma'am, it's best to rather have a payment schedule, meaning that I will agree to pay this X amount of money every single month. And when you do a payment arrangement, there's a whole lot of things that goes into it. So you'll have to get 3 or 6 months worth of your pay slips, and then you have to put in all the statements of like your credit card, or you have retail accounts, stuff like that. Because Courtney and I are married out of community of property with accrual, they don't take into account his income as a household income. So if you made it in commuter property, then they'll take into account like the 3 salaries that comes into the household. But because we have an ANC in place, his doesn't count. So it actually worked in my favor at the time, because remember at the time Quad and I were already in so much debt that we couldn't pay anything extra what we could already put down. You also have to write a letter to Sars explaining why you're making this payment arrangement and why you can only pay this amount of money. And that process actually goes quick. I think I got approval, I think a week later after submitting. Now, while I was doing and writing this letter, this consultant told me, okay, why don't you become a professional taxpayer? So she was like, okay, why don't I become a contractor for my second job? And I invoice them every month. So from February of 2019 till August of 2019, I was invoicing my company as like a contractor. I went back to Sars at the end of August and I was like, okay, I am like a professional taxpayer, what do I owe? But also, aka, I can't pay you whatever I owe you, I need to be on another payment arrangement. So the guy's like, with professional taxpayers, you can't make payment arrangements. And also, why did I do what I did? So I said, because one of your consultants told me to do this. And he was like, no, you go back and you put yourself back on the payroll, and then you ask your job to take off 26% tax. I asked my company to put me back on the payroll and also to take off 26% tax. And I will only know if this whole thing is fixed, I think, in August, because usually August is the time that I do calculations. So then I decided, okay, it was time for me to do my 2019 year e-filing. I then go on to e-filing and I do the calculations, which I did last year. So 2019 tax year, I owed an additional 11,000 rand. So by the time I got to this point, I already paid about 12,000 rand. So I ended up going back to 25,000 rand like immediately after my 2019 year assessment. So yeah, that's actually the nutshell of this whole thing. Obviously now become like a norm because I paid every month and I'm obviously in the stage of paying more. But I will definitely inform you guys what I owe now, because remember now that 6 months where I was invoicing my company, I wasn't paying tax at all. I'm hoping it's below 6,000 rand that I owe them. But moving forward, I hope that me taking off 26% from already a little amount of money that I get from my second job is gonna fix this whole thing. If you have a second job and you are so oblivious to what's going on, moving forward, people really need to speak openly about this, because it is something that nobody talks about. Nobody talks about SARS and tax and stuff. And for someone like me, unless you're like in a finance background or you have your own business and you have to understand taxes a little bit better, or you're in the situation like I am, that you now know, oh, there's something called a tax bracket, and it's so easy for someone that is in the financial space to say, oh, but you should know this, that, like, no, don't count for me with that. I thought I would share that story with everyone. And if you have any questions for me, you're more than welcome to leave them below, and I'll try my best. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm learning as I'm going along my own financial journey, and I will leave some resources below just based on what tax rebates are and tax brackets. And but yeah guys, that is my story. That's the situation I'm currently in, and I'm really hoping that, or my goal is to at least have paid all my taxes off by the end of 2020, God willingly, because I've got a, you know guys, now I've got a schedule in place. And I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.